Ninza is a free-to-play game that I was generously given a key for a couple days before release, and although I really enjoy it, there are some criticisms that I have as well. First, I want to talk about the gameplay. You choose your character and then go against either bots or players in tutorial or practice, challenges, local, private matches, or quick play. Before you can get into most modes though, you have to try out the tutorial in order to learn the basics. This is when we learn how this game plays, a far different way than I was originally expecting. You play on a randomly generated map that scrolls either right or left at varying speeds as you fight your opponents. But unlike most multiplayer competitive games, you aren't using weapons to fight or throwing hands in a good old-fashioned brawl. Instead, you weaponize the environment around you to trap, crush, and outwit your opponents. The controls are simple. You jump, attack, and move. You can charge attacks, and how attacks and movement works is different per character, but it's pretty simple to just jump in and figure out how to use whatever character you have. Besides the last one I unlocked, I got wrecked when trying to use her, which I'll show you the outcome of that on screen. Embarrassing, I know. Can't win them all though. Back to the environment, there are green blocks that can be launched at different speeds and ranges based on the charge of the attack that launched it. Perfect for crushing your opponents when they least expect it. There are blocks of rock that can't be moved by simple quick attacks, so they are perfect for boxing your enemy in order to limit their movements and lead them into their demise. There are elemental blocks as well. One of them are a water block that when charge attacked will give you a temporary shield. When attacked normally, however, the block will bounce back and forth and can cause your own undoing if you aren't careful. Something else I learned the hard way. There are fire blocks that, when charged, turn the near green block beside it into sort of a partly heat-sinking missile. When attacked normally though, it will hit another block on the map and fire in 4 directions, which is my preferred way to use it. Lastly, there are weird shadow-looking blocks. When hit with a charge attack, they can reverse the scroll on the screen, and it happens so fast that when catching your opponent off guard can lead to an instant elimination, or when used without thinking, it can backfire just as quickly and lead to your demise instead. I believe the normal attack may be able to pass through some other blocks after being launched, but I truthfully don't remember, so take that with a grain of salt. Something I forgot to mention is that you can parry the green blocks if you hit them perfectly before they hit you. It is risky, but if timed correctly, can take out your opponent before they can move from the position they were in when they launched it at you, which is a surefire way to take them out. I was going to go over the characters, but y'all tell me it's the draw of these games and consider it spoilers, so I won't get too much into it. Let's just say each character controls far differently. Whether they can fly, have ranged attacks, pass through objects, or more, each character feels extremely different and can entirely change your playstyle and strategy making just depending on who you select. I may make a video going over the characters so far, but we'll see. As you complete challenges, you gain XP as well as a form of currency. The XP levels up your characters, upping their stats depending on the amount gained. The currency can be used to buy new characters, modes, profile pictures, profile borders, mystery boxes that never give duplicates or give any sort of competitive edge, and more, making it easy to unlock all the current characters in a single afternoon, which is super awesome, and I'm very thankful for that. Tons of respect for the devs or the publishers for not taking the easy route and monetizing them. There are a few flaws I have to point out though. If you're in a private room with friends, you can't accept or choose challenges from there, so you get removed from the room whenever you want to claim your challenges, which is super annoying, and it breaks the flow of gameplay, especially when you're playing with others. Speaking of playing with others, when quick matching, you can't do that alongside your friends either. The only way you can play with them online is in a private room, which means if you only have one friend, it's gonna stay a 1v1 experience for you both if you want to play together. I'm hoping that one day they can make a 2v2 mode, a duo mode, something like that, or at least make it so you can bring your friends into a free-for-all match. I know there's a risk of teaming, but in a game like this, you're more than likely gonna kill your friend on accident anyway, so I can't really see it happening. It just kinda sucks that it's not a possibility to begin with, and I really hope that there are plans for it in the future. Having to use a room game code that isn't the same every time kinda sucks too. It's randomly generated and it takes a hot minute to copy and paste it in Discord, and since this is a controller optimized game, typing the code on the keyboard with a controller connected isn't an option either. Instead, it's like an old phone and I absolutely hate it. I just wish we could choose our own game codes to make life a little bit easier. When it comes to the complaints, these are rather small, sure, but quality of life improvements are super important in terms of keeping players with the game. It gets old a lot faster whenever every time I want to claim challenges the same time as my friend, we either have to do it one at a time or both leave the room and then have to create a new one. It's a waste of valuable minutes that, as adults, we have a limited amount of. Thankfully, to kind of balance it out, the matches can be pretty short themselves, although all this does is make the time we spend outside of them even more glaring since it happens so often and so quickly. Playing against the bots isn't too bad either. In local play, you can play against ones that act like real players. You choose their difficulty, etc., which is good if you want to practice using a character that you don't understand, or just practice to iron out some strategies after your last loss. You can also practice within the practice mode itself that helps you and up to 4 players iron out some specific things that you're struggling with. Pairing that with the guides can help you lock down some characters easier than just going in blind like I lazily do. Within the temple mode is the shop where you buy characters, portraits, balloon skins, etc., as I brought up earlier. There is a stones ritual place as well where you can break down stones for more currency as well as to add a stat boost to whatever character that the stones are assigned to. The stat boost seems minimal though so far, not making enough of a change for me to value it for whatever that's worth. There's also a treasure tab, but it's still locked for me, and I ain't got a clue what it does or what it's going to do, so yeah. I've put quite a few hours into the game so far and have had a lot of fun. The game is more fun in private matches if you turn on the setting that makes your opponent gain points whenever you die, even if said death is entirely self-inflicted. Without it, the accidental deaths can get kind of tedious and make the game last far longer than it should. Plus, the absence of that setting also takes away the risk-reward part of a strategy, since you can mindlessly mash away without being at risk of actually harming yourself. Just trust me when I tell you it's worth keeping on. Sadly though, I do have to say that the game lacks in any Steam achievements whatsoever, so if you find fulfillment from unlocking those, you will remain unfulfilled in that regard, which sucks, since tying said achievements to characters would encourage people to step out of their comfort zone and use characters they otherwise wouldn't. There's also no way to track your stats in the game, which does hurt the competitive element a little bit. Not knowing how many eliminations you've had with certain characters, blocks, etc. feels kinda like a missed opportunity. Same with there not being medals tied to said stats or other sorts of actions that you could show off to your friends. The game has more of a casual feel, sure, but it's still a multiplayer focused game, so it would be nice to have had those inclusions. There is a memory section too where you can basically just see some art and stuff as you unlock it, but it's not really something most people will spend too much time paying attention to, I imagine. Anyway, the game's free to play, so hop into my Discord and let me know if you ever want to play. As always, it's linked in the description below. Thank you for the key for myself, and then the ones you sent for my friends too. That was super sweet and it meant the world. And for more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day. Thank you.